भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददान्ति सुपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांद राधा कांद नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनि नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरि ओम तत्सत। हरे कृष्णा। So let me share. So any idea which sloka? More than 20 something. Yeah, this is over. Anubandham Shayam Himsam. This is over. Yeah. Sanko Namam Vadi Nityosa Samanita.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
29 Prabhuji.
29. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, Hare Krishna, Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 18, text 29. Buddhir bhedam dhrideschaiva gunatastri vidham shruno prochyamanam asheshena prathaktvena dhananjaya. Mayuri Mataji and Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Buddhe bhedam dhrate cha eva trividham shruno prochamanam asheshena prathaktvena dhananjaya.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji translation. O winner of the wealth, now please listen as I tell you in details of the different kind of understanding and determination according to the three modes of material nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
I think we have finished all these.
55 sloka Prabhuji.
Ah, yes. 55. Yes, we have finished all these things. All the three modes of different aspects we have covered. 55, right? Sorry, Hare Krishna. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvataha tato mam tattvado jnatva visate tad anantaram. Yes, Prabhuji. Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
भक्त्या माम् अभिजानाति यावन् अन्याश्च अस्मि तत्त्वतः ततो मां तत्त्वतो ज्ञात्वा विशते तदनन्तरम्
Ribol.
Hare Krishna Prabhu translation. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, only by the devotional service, and when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can either into the kingdom of God, enter into the kingdom of God.
Ribol. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service, Bhakti Amam. And when one is in full Krishna full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So Lord Krishna very clearly says that if we want to understand Krishna, we have to render devotional service, not by any other means. There are many other means, but really, if you want to serve him, with love and devotion, one has to render pure devotional service, unmotivated, uninterrupted. Then people may ask, what about other yoga system? There's karma yoga, okay, dhyana yoga, jnana yoga. With all these things, you may get some more karma yoga. If you do, you may get some more material benefit. You can enter into the heavenly planets for more and more enjoyment. Jnana yoga, by doing, you may enter into the Brahman effulgence. And dhyana yoga, you may enter into the Brahman effulgence. But if you really want to attain Krishna's service, if you want to really attain the Krishna's spiritual abode, Vaikuntha planets, Golaka Vrindavana, only devotional service, nothing else. Where there is no devotion service, you cannot attain there. Krishna very categorically says that whatever your aim is, where you want to go, that you will attain. So if you want to go into the Brahman effulgence, you will attain that. Okay? If you want to do devotional service without any motivation, without any interruption, then you will attain that. And if you want material benefit, you will attain that. If you want heavenly planets, you will attain that, by doing the required process. But here, to understand Krishna and to attain his abode, only by devotional service it is possible. Because for the jnanis and other Paramatmavadis, they don't really intend to do any devotional service. So why they should attain Goloka or Vaikuntha? They will not attain. So that's the reason. If you want to really understand Krishna and render devotional service, then it is only possible by our total surrenderance and performing devotional service here and there, both. So the Supreme Personality of God and Krishna and his plenary portions cannot be understood by mental speculation nor by the non-devotees. See, mental speculation, usually the jnanis, they do it, the philosophers, the scholars, the jnanis. So if anyone wants to understand the Supreme Personality of God, he has to take to pure devotional service under the guidance of pure devotee. So it is very, very essential for us to know that unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service. As in Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna very correctly says, what is that? Savai pumsam paro dharmo yado bhaktir adhokshaje ahaituki apratihada yatma suprasid. Ahaituki apratihada. Without any motivation, without any interruption. If you render pure devotional service, then we can attain his service. Without that, we will not be able to attain. So otherwise, the truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will always be hidden. They may attain maximum the Brahma Jyoti, but that's not the purpose. That's not the end of it. As already stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.25, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya. He is not revealed to everyone. Okay, he may give some opponents to those who are devoted in different ways, different aspects, different yoga system, if they are following. But if really want to get his personal association and really want to know who he is and what is our relation, how we can render pure devotional service, then it is only by this unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service. Otherwise, he is not revealing himself to everyone, only selected few who render pure devotional service. No one can understand God simply by erudite scholarship or mental speculation. Only one who is actually engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service can understand what Krishna is. University degrees are not helpful. So by just acquiring academic degrees, we will not be able to understand Krishna. So theoretical knowledge is there, and practical experience also is required. So theoretically we may know how to swim. You have to just beat the legs and hands. But really, when you are put into the water, then when you do it, then you will know how difficult it is. It's not that easy. One who is fully conversant with the Krishna's signs becomes eligible to enter into the spiritual kingdom, the abode of Krishna. Becoming Brahman does not mean that one loses his identity, as the Brahmavadis or as Mayavadis thinks that becoming Brahman does not mean that one loses his identity. We always maintain our identity. We were, and we are, and we will. So devotional service is there, and as long as devotional service exists, there must be God. The devotee and the process of devotional service. Because if you want to do devotional service, there should be some person. Without any personality, how can we do devotional service? So devotional service means there is a person, supreme person, and there is a devotee, bhakta, bhakti, and Bhagwan. So Bhagwan should be there, bhakta should be there, and bhakti should be there. Then devotional service will happen. Otherwise, devotional service will not happen. Such knowledge is never vanquished, even after liberation. Liberation involves getting free from the concept of material life. In spiritual life, the same distinction is there, the same individuality is there, but in pure Krishna consciousness. So what's the difference? Here in the material world, it is all material consciousness, but in the spiritual world, it's Krishna consciousness. So Bhakta is there, Bhagwan is there, Bhakti is there. He is the Supreme Lord, and we are the part and parcel as a devotee. Okay, and the process is Bhakti. So whether it is the material world or in the spiritual world, it is there. But there in the spiritual world, it is pure consciousness. In the material world, it's adulterated material consciousness. So one should not mistakenly think that the word Vishade enters into me supports the monist theory that one becomes homogeneous with the impersonal Brahman. No. Vishade means that one can enter into the abode of Supreme Lord in one's individuality to engage in his association and render service unto him. For instance, a green bird enters a green tree not to become one with the tree, but to enjoy the fruits of the tree. Impersonalists generally give the example of a river flowing into the ocean and merging. Thus, this may be a source of happiness for the impersonalist, but the personalist keeps his personal individuality like an aquatic in the ocean. We find so many living entities within the ocean. If you go deep, surface acquaintance with the ocean is not sufficient. One must have complete knowledge of the aquatics having in the ocean of depth, ocean depths. So as all the rivers enter into the ocean, so we think that the rivers loses the entity, but the rivers may join, but whatever the aquatics in the rivers, it also joins. So we are all, the living entities are concerned with the aquatics, not the river. So the aquatics also remains or maintains their personality and identity. So the living entities also maintains the personality. They don't merge with the Supreme Brahman. The river may merge, but the aquatics living in that river will not. Just as such, we, the living entities, when we go to the Brahman, we don't merge with the Brahman, but we maintain our individuality, just like how the aquatics maintain their individuality. So generally people see the surface, but when you go dive into the depth of the waters, we will find there are many aquatics living there. Because of his pure devotional service, a devotee can understand the transcendental qualities and the opulences of the Supreme Lord in truth. As it is stated in the 11th chapter, only by devotional service can one understand. The same is confirmed here. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotional service and enter into his kingdom. After attainment of the Brahma Buddha stage of freedom from material conceptions, devotional service begins by one's hearing about the Lord. When one hears about the Supreme Lord, automatically the Brahma Buddha stage develops and material contamination, greediness, and lust for sense enjoyment disappears. So as lust and desires disappear from the heart of a devotee, he becomes more attached to the service of the Lord. And by such attachment, he becomes free from material contamination. In that state of life, he can understand the Supreme Lord. This is the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam also. After liberation, the process of bhakti or transcendental service continues. It's not that, to get into the Brahman, the devotional service we use, and after we go there and it's, cessates or it ends. No. We continue to do devotional service in pure consciousness. Here, we may be doing in different three modes of either in goodness or passion or ignorance. Once when we get liberated in the pure mode of goodness, our service is pure. So devotional service continues even after liberated stage. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, real devotional liberation is defined as the reinstatement of the living entity in his own identity, his own constitutional position. The constitutional position is already explained. Every living entity is a part and parcel fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, his constitutional position is to serve after liberation. This service is never stopped. Actual liberation is getting free from the misconception of life. Jivera Surupohai Krishnara Nityadas. That is the constitutional position of every living entity. One can never claim that he or she can become God. Because we are part and parcel of that Supreme Person, we can never become God, but we can always render devotional service to the Supreme as part and parcel. That's what this sloka says. So any comments or any points that we have missed?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Just a question. Karma Yogi goes to heaven, Prabhuji, and you told Gyan Yogi and Dhyan Yogi both goes to Brahma Jyoti, Prabhuji.
Brahma, yeah. Brahman.
Both of them, Prabhuji.
Both of them, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If nothing, we'll go to number 56. Sarva karmani api sada kurvano madvyapashrayah mat prasadat avapnoti shashwatam padam avyayam. Bhagavati Mataji and Venkatesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Sarva karmani api sada purvano madhyapashrayah matprasadadavapnoti shashwatam padam avyayam.
Very well. Translation, Prabhuji.
Translation. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee under my protection reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace.
Very bold. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee under my protection reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. So, here he clarifies further. Those who are engaging in devotional activities, his pure devotee. Okay. So, who is pure devotee? One who engages in his pure devotional service. Under my protection. Who protects? He protects, not any other external energy. Reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. So we have to understand that this universe is manifested and manifested. Okay, although it is created by his own energy, it is manifested in and unmanifested at frequent intervals. But the eternal abode of Sri Krishna, the Vaikuntha and the Golaka Vrindavana, they are eternally present. It's not that it comes and goes. So the person who is engaging in pure devotional service reaches where? The eternal imperishable abode. And by whose grace? By Krishna's grace. So a devotee is directly taken care of by himself, unlike the other people. So other people are entrusted to his external energy, Maya. But the pure devotee is entrusted, he is taking care of the pure devotees. The word Mat Vyapashrayah means under the protection of the Supreme Lord. To be free from material contamination, a pure devotee acts under the direction of the Supreme Lord or his representative, the spiritual master. So the pure devotee comes either under his direct protection or by his authorized representative, the Vaishnavas or the spiritual master. There is no time limitation for a pure devotee. He is always 24 hours a day, 100% engaged in activities under the direction of the Supreme Lord. To a devotee who is thus engaged in Krishna consciousness, the Lord is very, very kind. In spite of all difficulties, he is eventually placed in the transcendental abode or Krishna Loka. He is guaranteed entrance there. There is no doubt about it. In that supreme abode, there is no change. Everything is eternal, imperishable, and full of knowledge. So, as in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Natat bhashayato suryo shashanko na pavagaha yat tattva navartande tadhama paramama. Okay, so that abode of Lord Krishna's, the Vaikuntha planets and the Goloka, it is not illuminated by sun, moon, or electricity. But whereas in the material world, without moon, electricity, sunlight, we cannot live. So we have to depend upon the external energy of the Supreme Lord. But in Krishna Loka or in Vaikuntha Lokas, it is self-luminous, self-effulgence. Krishna doesn't depend upon any external factors. So if we are under devotional service, definitely we are taken there where we can eternally serve the Supreme Lord in that eternal abode of Lord Krishna under his protection. So any other points? Haribol?
Haribol, Prabhuji. Krishna is again and again giving the confirmation or assurance to the devotees. Yeah.
Yes.
Time and again he is giving the assurance. Yeah.
Time and again in different ways.
Different ways he is telling. Yeah. Started from the 9th chapter onwards, he is telling. Yeah.
But unfortunately, we are stuck with our preconceived notions. Nobody is willing to change. Okay. Even forget about the translation and the purport. By only just reading the Sanskrit verse, it is clear. Some people say you have manipulated this and forget about that. Okay, just read the translation. What you understand, you understand the same. What translation is given. So text 57. Chetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha buddhi yogam upashritya machitta satadam bhava. Rajeshwara Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Haribol. Hare Krishna.
In all activities, depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me.
Haribol. Hare Krishna. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. So usually we depend, okay, upon anything and everything, anyone and everyone except Lord Krishna, isn't it? Usually this is our case. Yeah. We depend our health, our wealth, our relatives, our friends, but we never depend upon Krishna. So that is our drawback. So what Krishna says, in all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. No, even Draupadi, for that matter, she was depending upon her own strength, isn't it? When she was, disturbed in the assembly of Kauravas, what happened? She thought that she can help herself, protect herself. So she was using her own strength. It's not that she should not do that, but ultimately she had to depend upon Lord Krishna. So she could not, save herself, and nor her husbands, nor the king, or nor the great personalities assembled there could not. But it's not that we should not try our bit, but at the same time, we should keep that the person who can save is only Lord Krishna. With that intention, if we do our bit of effort, then it will take place. Some people know who is there, who is God. I have a lot of money, I have got power, I have got wealth, and I've got this, that, Those people, definitely, that is just, according to the karma, whatever is the destiny is destined, they will get. But otherwise, they'll not get any assistance from Krishna if they don't depend upon Krishna. So when one acts in Krishna consciousness, he does not act as the master of the world. Just like a servant, one should act fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. A servant has no individual independence. He acts only on the order of the master. Servant acting on behalf of the Supreme Master is unaffected by profit and loss. Simply discharges his duty faithfully in terms of the order of the Lord. Now one may argue that Arjuna was acting under the personal direction of Krishna, but when Krishna is not present, how should one act? If one acts according to the direction of the Krishna in this book, as well as under the guidance of the representative of Krishna, then the result will be the same. So as Prabhupada rightly put it, some people may say that, for Arjuna, Krishna was directly present and he was instructing. Now we don't have Lord Krishna to instruct. What will happen to us? Definitely he's not there. We are not that qualified to have Krishna with us, directly instructing us. But for that matter, Krishna has given his Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. There is no difference between Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam and Lord Krishna and his instruction. So there are instructions what we should do and what we should not do. And he has sent his bona fide representatives. So either we can go through the instruction or we can take shelter of the spiritual master. Of course, even the instruction also says you have to take shelter of the spiritual master. So without taking the shelter of the spiritual master, one cannot get out of this material existence or the clutches of Maya. Because we are all fallen souls of Kali Yuga, we don't have the purity to directly approach the Supreme Lord. So we need a mediator, and that is the spiritual master and the Vaishnavas. So he simply discharges. A servant acting on behalf of the Supreme Master is unaffected by, I read it. Okay. He simply discharges his duty faithfully in terms of the order of the Lord. Now one may argue that Arjuna was acting under the personal direction of the Krishna, but when Krishna is not present, how should one act? If one acts according to the direction of the Krishna in this book, as well as under the guidance of the representative of Krishna, then the result will be the same. The Sanskrit word matparaha is very important in this verse. It indicates that one has no goal in life save and except acting in Krishna consciousness just to satisfy Krishna. And while working in that way, one should think of Krishna only. I have been appointed to discharge this particular duty by Krishna. While acting in such a way, one naturally has to think of Krishna. This is perfect Krishna consciousness. One should, however, note that after doing something whimsically, he should not offer the result to the Supreme Lord. That sort of duty is not in the devotional service of Krishna consciousness. One should act according to the order of Krishna. This is very important point. That order of Krishna comes through disciplic succession from the bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, the spiritual master's order should be taken as the prime duty of life. One gets a bona fide spiritual master and acts according to his direction, then one's perfection of life in Krishna consciousness is there. So it's very clearly says that one has to approach and take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master in the disciplic succession to get perfection in this life. Otherwise, we are doomed. Without accepting a spiritual master who comes in the bona fide disciplic succession, one cannot enter into the spiritual planets at all. So it also shows the importance of what Krishna has already given the Bhagavad Gita. Tad vidhi pranipadena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Okay. So this is what Lord Krishna instructs Arjuna in this verse. So any points that we have missed? Haribol?
Haribol, Prabhuji.
Okay. So text 58. Macchitta sarva durgani mat prasadat tarishyasi atha chetvam ahankaran nashroshyasi vinakshyati. Okay. Mini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat pranam.
Dana pranam Mataji.
Mat chitta sarva durgani mat prasadat tarisyasi atha chetvam ahamkaran nasrayosi vinangsyasi.
Haribol. And translation also.
If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost.
Very good. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness but act through false ego, not hearing me, you'll be lost. So Krishna says that if we become Krishna conscious, there may be a lot of obstacles, impediments, difficulties on the path of spiritual pursuit, but still, what happened? By His grace, we can overcome all those difficulties and obstacles. But if we don't do that, and if we remain in material consciousness and have that false ego that I am the doer, okay, I am the boss, I am everything, in that consciousness, we'll be totally doomed, we'll be lost. So we will not attain the right destination. We will not attain perfection in this life. So a person in full Krishna consciousness is not unduly anxious about executing the duty of his existence. The foolish cannot understand this great freedom from all anxiety. For one who acts in Krishna consciousness, Lord Krishna becomes the most intimate friend. He always looks after his friend's comfort and he gives himself to his friend, who is so devotedly engaged, working 24 hours a day to please the Lord. Therefore, no one should be carried away by the false ego of the bodily concept of life. One should not falsely think himself independent of the laws of material nature or free to act. So we have to be very careful that we are not independent at all. Yes, we have a certain amount or certain degree of independence, certain degree of freedom. We have not 100% of freedom to do anything and everything. Lord Krishna has given to the human beings a certain amount of freedom, but not completely. So that's why we are always dependent on the mercy of Lord, Supreme Lord. So if we follow His instruction, then we'll be in bliss. Otherwise, we'll be under the clutches of Maya always. So we have to be very careful that we should also understand the fact that we are not totally independent. We are partially independent. What is that partial independence? That we can exercise to remain in this material world under the clutches of Maya, or we have the right to exercise whether we can go to the Supreme Lord's abode by following the rules and regulations given in the scriptures. So that independence is there, that choice is ours. Lord Krishna will not compel us, He will not force us in that freedom. That freedom is there. Whether to be under Maya's shelter or whether to be under Lord Krishna's shelter. We can opt any one of that. That freedom He has given. Okay. But as soon as he acts in Krishna consciousness, he is liberated, free from the material perplexities. One should note very carefully that one who is not active in Krishna consciousness is losing himself in the material whirlpool, in the ocean of birth and death. So as rightly our Adi Shankaracharya said, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jananam. So this cycle keeps going on and on till such time that we don't take shelter of Krishna completely. No conditioned soul actually knows what is to be done and what is not to be done. But a person who acts in Krishna consciousness is free to act because everything is prompted by Krishna from within and confirmed by the spiritual master. So Krishna acts in two ways. One from within, from without. Okay, from within as Paramatma he inspires us, and from without he inspires as the representative, as the spiritual master. So any other points here? Haribol?
Haribol, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Yeah.
Prabhuji, here the word Krishna using not hearing me means
Yeah.
he's talking about hearing about the Gita, means what he's
Yes.
giving the message.
Whatever directly or indirectly he has given directly to Arjuna many things, which has been passed on to us through Song of God, Bhagavad Gita. So that is hearing. So understanding or reading or hearing Bhagavad Gita is hearing him only, because that is a direct instruction he has given to Arjuna. So although when we are reading this Bhagavad Gita or when we are hearing this Bhagavad Gita from somebody else, it is a direct instruction. So as our Amarendra Prabhu said, in each and every purport is actually meant for us. You have to put yes, dear Siddha Gauranga Das. No, this is actually addressed to me. Okay, so everything that I have to take it as an instruction directly from
Krishna
Supreme Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Usually, when we get we get a general instruction, we think, oh, it's not for me; it's for that person. That instruction is for him. So that is how we act.
Even Brahma also, Indra also did the same thing when Krishna.
Yes.
They also giving the instruction to others only. So thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, Yadhankaram ashritya nayosya idi manyase mithyesya vyavasayaste pragristam niyokshati. Okay. Kapil Prabhu and Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna Mataji ki Dana Pranam.
Yada ankaramashritya nayotyasya iti manyase mityesha vyavasayaste prakruti stavam niyokshati.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Danvat Pranam. If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare.
Very good. So Krishna is warning here Arjuna, if you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. Okay, so we'll have a false conception of life, and whatever we are doing will be totally on the opposite way. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. But why? Because he is Kshatriya in Varna. Okay, so Kshatriyas will fight. When they are provoked, they will have to fight. That is the guna they have acquired. Okay, they are in Rajoguna. So Krishna is warning, if you don't act according to me, you will be falsely directed. Anyway, you will fight. And what will be the result of his fighting? The result of his fighting will be that you will have to get the reaction of that. But here, the same fighting, if he does for Krishna, he will not get the reaction of that fighting. So whether you fight for to take care of your ego, or whether you fight for Krishna, choice is here. Okay, if you fight for Krishna, you will not get the reaction of that. But if you fight for upkeeping your false ego, then you will have to end up receiving the result of that action. So that's why he is warning. Arjuna was a military man and born of the nature of Kshatriya. Therefore, his natural duty was to fight. But due to false ego, he was fearing that by killing his teacher, grandfather, and friends, he would incur sinful reaction. Actually, he was considering himself master of his actions, as if he were directing the good and the bad results of such work. He forgot that the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present there, instructing him to fight. That is the forgetfulness of the conditioned soul. Supreme Personality gives directions as to what is good and what is bad. And one simply has to act in Krishna consciousness to attain the perfection of life. No one can ascertain his destiny as the Supreme Lord can. Therefore, the best course is to take directions of Supreme Lord and act. No one should neglect the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the order of the spiritual master, who is the representative of God. One should act unhesitatingly to execute the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That will keep one safe under all circumstances. So if we want to be safe, from not getting any reactions and coming back again and again in different species, the best course of action is just to accept the instructions given by the Lord directly or indirectly through his books or through his bona fide representatives. Then we are saved. There will be no problem at all. So this is what Lord Krishna again reiterates here. So any points? We'll go to this next verse 60. Subhavajena kaunteya nibaddha swena karmana kartum nechasi yam yan mohat karishyasi avashopitat. Okay. Sarvapalak Prabhu and Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. स्वभावजेन कौन्तेय निबद्धा स्वेन कर्मणा कर्तुं नेच्छसि यन्मोहात् करिष्यस्य वशोऽपि तत्.
Translation. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by the work born of your nature, your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. Hare Krishna.
So under illusion, what is illusion here? Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction. What is illusion? So what illusion Arjuna is undergoing now?
Illusion, Prabhu, he's thinking himself the karta for all the things.
Yes. So he is thinking that he is doing everything, and if he does, he is all on a different platform on the basis of Artha Shastra or Dharma Shastra. He's thinking, oh, if I kill my elders, my grandfathers, my relatives, my cousins, I will have to go and stay in hell for millions and millions of lifetimes. So why should I do that? Okay, the instruction is given. He knows that he is not an ordinary person, Lord Krishna. Although he may at times know that he is the Supreme Lord, at times he is bewildered also. But still he knows that he is the right person to get the knowledge, the right person to get the instruction. But listening to him, again, sometimes he wants to exercise his own independent will. So that's why he is sometimes on the bodily conception of life, that he is the doer, and whatever he is doing, he has to partake the sinful reaction. So that illusion he is undergoing now. But when Lord Krishna is instructing Arjuna to do certain duty, will he get the reaction? No. Just like in the army, the commander-in-chief is instructing the soldiers to go and fight. Who takes the responsibility? The soldiers or the commander-in-chief? The commander-in-chief. Similarly, even if something goes wrong, who takes the responsibility? Krishna will take the responsibility, because Arjuna is performing the duty under his direction. So Arjuna doesn't have to worry at all about the result, whether it is good or bad. He is, is totally away from the reaction. So that is what we have to understand from this. So, but compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of. Even if you don't take my word and you don't follow my instruction, because by nature you are a Kshatriya, and by guna you are a Kshatriya, and you will have to fight, and you will fight also. But that fighting will bring some reaction, and he'll have to suffer for that. So if one refuses to act under the direction of the Supreme Lord, then is compelled to act by the modes in which he is situated. Everyone is under the spell of a particular combination of the modes of nature and is acting in that way. But anyone who voluntarily engages himself under the direction of the Supreme Lord becomes glorious. So this is one, acting on our own acting whimsically. Second, acting under the direction of either by the Supreme Lord or under the direction of spiritual master, which is better always, because we are relieved from the reaction. Whether it is good or bad, reaction is always bad, because reaction keeps us, binds us in this material world. So our duty should be without any reaction, whether it is good or bad. We should do the act on the akarma platform. Okay, any points? Very good. So we'll go to the next. That is 61. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hridesha arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. Vandana Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Yeah. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshe arjuna tishtati brahmayansa sarvabhutani yantra rudhani mayaya.
Very good. Translation also, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation, Prabhuji, can you make it up? Actually, I'm not able to see.
It's okay now?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directed the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy.
Very good. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. So, the Supreme Lord is there in each and every living entity's heart as Paramatma. And he is directing the wanting of all living entities. Just like, a machine. This body is just like a machine. It's compared to a machine of material energy. What is material? Panchadhatu. The whole body is just 24 elements. This is nothing more than that. So when that is destroyed, the soul, the individual soul, the living force is eternal, it will remain, isn't it? So this body is compared to yantra, rudhaya maya. That is what here it says, right? What it says, yandra rudhani maya. So this body is compared to a yantra, okay? And in that machine, the Jivatma is staying. But once the yantra, that is the body, is destroyed, the Jivatma still remains. And who is directing? The Lord, sitting as Paramatma in the heart of every living entity, is directing the Jivatma. So Arjuna was not the supreme knower, and his decision to fight or not to fight was confined to his limited discretion. Lord Krishna instructed that the individual is not all in all. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, or he himself, Krishna, as the localized super soul, sits in the heart, directing the living being. After changing bodies, the living entity forgets his past deeds. But the super soul, as the knower of the past, present, and future, remains the witness of all these activities. So as soon as we leave this body, we are totally forgotten who we were in the previous life. So every time we are in the body, we may have some impression from our past life, but we cannot recollect anything. That may come up, surface from time to time, but we don't have any clarity of what we were, who we were and who will be in the next. But Lord Krishna knows past, present, and future, isn't it? Because he is the super soul in every living entity. So he keeps an account, he knows past, present, future. But our knowledge is limited to this particular life, that also to a certain extent, not fully. So therefore, all the activities of living entities are directed by this super soul. The living entity gets what he deserves and is carried by the material body, which is created in the material energy under the direction of the super soul. As soon as a living entity is placed in a particular type of body, he has to work under the spell of that bodily situation. Person seated in a high-speed motor car goes faster than one seated in a slower car. Though the living entities, the drivers, may be the same. Similarly, by the order of the Supreme Soul, material nature fashions a particular type of a body to a particular type of living entity so that he may work according to his past desires. The living entity is not independent. One should not think himself independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The individual is always under the Lord's control. Therefore, one's duty is to surrender, and that is the instruction of the next verse. So from one body to another, that living entity keeps transmigrating according to his karma and guna. Okay. One cannot, of course, we have a discretion what to do, what not to do. So we can prepare for a good body next life, if at all we are not liberating from this material existence. But definitely, if you are not following the instructions of Lord Krishna and the spiritual masters and Vaishnavas, then we have to remain in this material world in any different species, 8,400,000 different species. Sometimes it may be of some, demigods, Gandharvas, or human beings, or animals, or aquatics, whatever it is, but we have to remain in this material world. So any points? Hari Bol?
Hari Bol, Prabhuji.
Tameva sharanam gaccha sarva bhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi sashwatam. Parag Prabhu and Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परं शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्यसि शाश्वतम्.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Translation. O Son of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace you will be attain transcendental peace and the supreme and the eternal abode.
O Son of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. So Krishna is telling whom to surrender here? Surrender unto him utterly. Who is that? Him.
To the super soul himself.
Yes, he's the super soul. Because there is no difference. He's telling I am situated in each and everyone's heart. So there is no difference between the super soul and Lord Krishna. So ultimately, he's telling to surrender unto him. Isn't it? Now I am seated, in the, what is that? Ardesha Arjuna Tishtadi. Okay, so I am seated in the heart of every living entity and as Paramatma. So he's telling you surrender to that Paramatma who is not different from me. So a living entity should therefore surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart, and that will relieve him from all kinds of miseries of this material existence. By such surrender, not only will one be released from all miseries of his life, but at the end, he will reach the Supreme God. The transcendental world is described in the Vedic literature, Rig Veda 1.22-20, as Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. Since all of the creation is the kingdom of God, everything material is actually spiritual, but Paramam Padam specifically refers to the eternal abode, which is called the spiritual sky or Vaikunta, the supreme abode, Paramam. Okay. So in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishta. The Lord is seated in everyone's heart. So that this recommendation that one should surrender unto the super soul sitting within means that one should surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, because he himself says he is sitting in the heart of the living entity. Okay, so when he says that surrender unto me or surrender unto him, it's all referring to him only. Krishna has already been accepted by Arjuna as supreme. Okay, in the earlier chapter, he has already said Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashudam Devam, Purusham Shashudam Divyam, Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. Okay, okay, he said, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, and it's not my own version, but all the saintly personalities like Narada, Ashita, Devala, Vyasa, everybody confirms this. And you yourself are now declaring it. So he knows that he is not the ordinary person, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Arjuna has accepted Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead and the supreme abode of all living entities, not only because of his personal experience, but also because of the evidence of great authorities like Narada, Ashita, Devala, and Vyasa. Because people may not believe when Arjuna says, "Oh, Arjuna," because out of that bondage or affection to Krishna, he may be flattering Krishna. People may. So that's why, just to what you call. For once again emphasizing that what he's telling, the saintly personalities like Narada, Ashita, Devala, Vyasa are also confirming that you are Supreme Personality of God. They don't have to, what you got, butter Lord Krishna. They are the saintly personalities. We can say, okay, Arjuna and Krishna, they are friends. So that's why he's just exaggerating. It's not exaggeration, but all the literature says, and all the great saintly personality says, and it is my opinion, and it is Lord Krishna himself declares that also. So from all this evidence, we can, Arjuna concludes that Lord Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So any other points? Okay, we'll go to the next. Iti te jnanamakhyadam guhyad guhyataram maya mimrishyedad aseshena yatechasi tatha kuru. Okay, Bhagavati Mataji and Prabhu.
Iti te jnanamakyatam guhyad guhyataram maya imstriyatad aseshena yatachasi tata kuru.
Mataji.
Translation. Thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do.
Very good. Thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. Okay, now Krishna is telling, he is leaving the ball in his court, Arjuna's court. So whatever I have to tell you, I have told you. Now decision is yours. If you want to accept, accept, or leave it, leave it. Just like, when, we have some close friends, they will ask some problems, what should I do? I am undergoing this problem. So what the confidential friend will say, see, this is my opinion, but it's up to you whether to accept or not to accept. Decision is yours. So Lord Krishna is also not compelling or forcing Arjuna that you do like this. This is my opinion. And this is not just confidence, more confidence, still more confidential. In 9th chapter, Lord Krishna has given confidential knowledge. Now here, what is telling? I have given you still more confidential. Now it's up to you. You want to take it or leave it. I will not compel you because we have the freedom to accept or not to accept. The Lord has already explained to Arjuna the knowledge of Brahma Bhuta. One who is in the Brahma Bhuta condition is joyful. He never laments, nor does he desire anything. That is due to confidential knowledge. Krishna also discloses knowledge of the super soul. This is also Brahman knowledge, knowledge of Brahman, but it is superior. Here the words, Yede chasi tatha guru. As you like, you may act. Yede chasi tatha guru. Okay? You can act according to your decision. Indicate that God does not interfere with the little independence of the living entity. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has explained in all respects how one can elevate his living condition. The best advice imparted to Arjuna is to surrender under the super soul seated within his heart. By right discrimination, one should agree to act according to the order of the super soul. That will help one become situated constantly in Krishna consciousness, the highest perfection stage of human life. Arjuna is being directly ordered by the personality of Godhead to fight. Surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in the best interest of the living entities. It is not for the interest of the Supreme. Before surrendering, one is free to deliberate on the subject as far as the intelligence goes. That is the best way to accept the instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such instruction comes also through the spiritual master, the bona fide representative of Krishna. So, as far as our intelligence goes, we can decide. But we think that, my intelligence is not working properly. What we should do? We should consult with our superiors, and we should consult with, granthas, the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, then take a decision. But not to come under the influence of the Maya, or not to believe our mind. Okay. Our mind also cheats. So better is always taking shelter of a bona fide representative of the Supreme God. We are saved. How many slokas are there in this left out?
Till 78, Prabhuji.
78. Okay, so there's one more class we can take, right?
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji.
We'll not hurry then. So we'll stop here. Okay, so 64 onwards, we'll take one more class. Then next class we'll be able to complete. Then, as we have earlier decided, so what we have decided earlier, Sarvapalaka Prabhu?
2 slokas each. Everybody has to prepare and present for 10-15 minutes.
10-15 minutes. Starting from first chapter, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
That's fine, no?
Harishna Prabhu, sorry, I didn't hear that. Actually, I think, missed the class also.
Okay. Now, from next week, we'll most probably will complete this Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter. So after that, we'll have 1.5 hour total, class. In that, for 45 minutes. I know, not 45, 30 minutes, right? 30. Yeah, 30 minutes. We will give
1 hour 15 minutes.
15 minutes. 1 hour 15 minutes. Yeah, 1 hour 15 minutes. 30 minutes. Now we will assign devotees to learn and present 2 slokas. 30 minutes means 15 for each devotee, and 45 minutes we'll read and discuss teachings of Lord Chaitanya, right?
Yes, Prabhu. Slokas from Bhagavad Gita, from the first chapter onwards.
Yes, I think Parvati Mataji and Shabarish Prabhu will be assigning the devotee the sloka accordingly. So you'll get the slokas in advance, so you can prepare it accordingly. 2 slokas, 15 minutes, more than enough.
Okay.
Prabhuji, I think we have, you have seen the roster, no? So it is as per the alphabetic order. So maybe who is having A can start preparing.
Anyway,
we don't know that. That's why we have not assigned the date. So once, I think by next class we will be coming to know whether we can finish by next class or whether we need one more class to complete 78 slokas. So we will get an idea by next class, Prabhuji. But for the information, if whoever is having the alphabetic order, then accordingly we can.
Okay.
Prepare.
Anyway, you'll be assigning the sloka numbers, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. In fact, for some people, because some slogas there, I mean, it's combined slogas, like 3-4 slogas are together. So whoever is getting that, they have to present maybe 4 slogas because it is all in one,
Yeah,
it's
in one this.
under
Okay,
one.
that's fine. Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna. So, any comments? Any further clarification? Hare Krishna, Kapil Prabhu, Mataji. Here.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare
Dana
Krishna.
Pranam.
Dhanavad
We
Pranam.
have to learn the Prabhu. We have to learn the shlokas also, Prabhu.
Not necessary. If you can,
Okay.
that's only you have to just read it and read the translation. Explain it. Yeah.
In our own words.
Your own
Or
words.
how we understood it.
Yeah, and purport is there. Srila Prabhupada's purport is there. You can take points from that, and from various classes of devotees or even Prabhupadas, other devotees. You can take points. You can explain that something connected to that sloka or that instruction or that particular principle in that sloka. You can just detail. So 15 minutes each devotee will be getting.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, very well.
Hare Krishna, Venkat Prabhu. So can we add both of you also?
No problem.
And Rajeshwar Prabhu?
Rajeshwar Prabhu, you are free on Thursday. We can add your name.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it's okay. I will try.
Only thing is that on that day you have to be present when your date is there. Okay. What else? Yes, you have got a beautiful car at the back. You want that car, Kapil Prabhu?
No, Prabhu. Actually, this is Ishan's using this laptop, so I just log in by changing name only. Otherwise, mostly everywhere he has kept actually all this wallpaper and all virtual. I try to remove. I could not find the option actually.
Okay, so shall we 8:15? So we'll stop here.